In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the Serpentine belt tensioner on your Nissan Rogue, located right on the front side of your engine. Let's go ahead and remove our center cap here, reach behind that and pull outward. Set that aside. Using a 21mm socket, let's go ahead, loosen and remove these lug nuts. Go ahead and grab that wheel. Remove it and set it aside. On the bottom side right here, I want to go ahead and loosen and remove these 3 Phillips head screws. On the inside of the liner right here, I want to go ahead and remove this cover. Remove these plastic push pins here. Use your trim tool to pop out the base inserts here. Sometimes these will break, so you can plan on sourcing out some replacements. Remove that cover. Want to remove our mud flap here. There are 4 T20 torque screws, 1, 2, 3, and there's one on the bottom here. Loosen and remove these. Grab the 4th one right here. We're using an extension to gain access to that. And then remove the flap, set that aside. Remove these 2 Phillips head screws on the upper portion of the liner. On the inside of our fender liner here, there are going to be 6 of these retainer buttons that run up and around the perimeter inside here. Let's go ahead, loosen and remove those. Try and use a trim tool here to pop out the center button. And then remove the clip. With all the plastic push pins removed, go ahead and work that fender liner out. Locate your belt tensioner right here using a 14mm socket. Go ahead and put your ratchet on there. Go ahead and work that belt off. I'm going to go ahead and just remove the belt off of some of these pulleys, off the water pump and alternator. I'm going to use a 16mm socket to go ahead and just break these bolts free. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're not going to remove them yet. Just break these free. We're going to use a block of wood and our jack, and we're just going to put it on the back side of the oil pan, the strongest part. We're not going to lift the engine. We just want to put a little bit of pressure there just to support the engine while we unbolt the motor mount on the top side. Now that we've broken these bolts free, let's go ahead and remove them now. Now we can leave the bolts in place here. A mount is now separated from the engine. The front side of the engine here is supported by our jack underneath. Now at this point here, we want to go ahead. Our goal is to remove this tensioner here, which has a bracket up underneath. In order to gain access to those bolts there, we need to remove the idler pulley, which is up above our crankshaft pulley here. So this is the point where we slowly lower our jack It's going to bring our motor down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and remove these 4 studs here, or bolts, from the bracket. I'm going to label them in accordance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just using our jack here, we can go ahead and position these accordingly. Now that motor is, now let's go ahead and lower that motor down, give us better access to that idler pulley. Now our idler pulley is right here. It's a 14mm bolt that goes through the middle of it. I'm going to use a swiveling gear wrench here to get up and on there. Spin that out, and there it is there. Now the tensioner has 2 bolts on there. These are 13mm. There's one right here, and then there's one up above it that we need to go ahead and gain access to. The upper one, we're going to use a swivel head with our extension and get that on there. Let's go ahead and loosen that bottom bolt here now. Now we have our bottom bolt out. Let's go ahead and remove that upper bolt the rest of the way. Now we have that bolt out, we'll go ahead and pull that tensioner out. I'll go ahead and take that tensioner. I'm going to feed that up behind the water pump pulley. Let's go ahead and get our lower bolt installed here. Just going to get that caught a few threads. I want to get that lower bolt started. That's going to hold the tensioner in place. Then you can go ahead and take the upper bolt, pivot the tensioner up into position, and get that upper bolt installed. Go ahead and snug that bolt down. I'm going to go ahead and repeat for the bottom one here. Once those bolts bottom out, get roughly about another quarter turn, snug those down. So the upper bolt and the lower bolt is now tight. You're going to take your idler here, you're going to feed that up and in. Go ahead and get that bolt started by hand. Use both hands, you can spin that bolt in almost all the way. Let's tighten down that bolt. And once that bolt is bottomed out, you want to snug that down. Let's now jack up our engine. Go ahead and get that bolt started by hand. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the others. Go ahead and get these bolts snugged down. Go ahead and lower our jack. I'm going to let that mount center itself. Let's go ahead and torque down our 5 bolts on the top to 46 foot-pounds. Go ahead and get our belt installed. Now that we have our belt run around where we need it, let's go ahead and get this on our tensioner here. Pop that belt onto the tensioner. Want to make sure that our belt is on all of our pulleys. Go ahead and take the wheel well liner. Feed this up around your strut. On the top here, we have these 2 clips. Slides onto the fender liner. And do that for both of these here. And line this up. On the back side here, we're going to install a couple of the plastic locking push pins. Let's go ahead and get a couple installed on the back side here. Get our upper clips lined up here. Now that we have our 2 clips lined up, I'm going to install the Phillips head screws on the top here. Go ahead and snug those down. They don't have to be super tight, but you can feel them snug down and tighten. Go ahead and grab our screws here. These are the Torx head screws. Let's go ahead and get those installed. Just snug those into place. Once you have these 3 in, go ahead and install the 4th one on the bottom side in the back. Install the 3 lower screws into the low portion of the bumper cover. Once we have all three of these caught, go ahead and snug them down. Now we're going to pop out these clips I had popped in temporarily to hold the fender liner in place. Grab our cover here, line this up. Now that our side cover is on, you can now go ahead and install your wheel. Take your wheel, line it up, get that set on, and let's go ahead and install all of the lug nuts by hand. Get them started a few threads. Once we have all those started, let's go ahead and snug those down. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. Once you're all torqued down, install your center cap. And pay attention to the notch here on the cap. That's where your valve stem is going to go. You're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.